And welcome to LADYADA.
Hey everybody, it's LADYADA o'clock on a Sunday night, and means it's time for a desk of LADYADA. We catch up on all the fun engineering that I've been up to this weekend. We're going to cover some Stemma stuff, some new designs, and then we're going to roll into a great search.
Yeah, we have a celebration. We're up to 50 boards. We're already past 50, but this is Stemma 50 time. Going to do some great search. And, we'll talk about some of the things we're up to and more. It's a little bit of a preview. So let's kick it off. What do you got going on?
Well, I thought the first thing I'd show off is we got this Portenta board from Arduino, and I found it. It was shipped to me a while ago, but with lockdown and everything, it got lost. But I found it, and I thought I would try plugging in some Stemma boards into it, so that's what I did.
Yeah, we got this cable to go from Maker to Stemma.
That's right. I can show them
we knew we were going to do this.
Yes. So this cable, it's just a 5-pin connector, a JST-SH that's on the side of the Portenta using this beautiful large PCB, and we stock an adapter cable that then lets it plug into any of our Stemma QT boards like this OLED, and then I've got a IMU connected to it. And what's really neat is that I plugged it in, I installed the Arduino support package for the Portenta, I uploaded the code, and it just worked. Like, I didn't have to make any changes to make the OLED or the IMU work. So we do have these cables, and they work fine with the Portenta. So if you have one and you're like, I want to add sensors, I don't want to solder to this beautiful piece of art, we have a solution. So that's number one.
So we also wanted to make sure that whether you have things like Quick or Grove or whatever, we made Stemma. That's why we're celebrating 50th board. There's more. But we wanted to make sure that all these things can work together.
That's right. That's why I have level shifting on each board and a regulator.
Yeah.
So for 5 volt.
If you have that Portenta, you can use Stemma stuff now.
Great. So that's the cable. So check the Adafruit site if you want to do that. Okay, so next up, let's go back to the overhead. So I also finally got from Digi-Key, I placed an order for a Arduino shell. So this is a little development board. It has a SAMD21, a USB-C connector. It came with this tin, which I removed because I was like, well, what's underneath it? I mean, you can't give me something with a tin without me trying to find out what's under the tin. So it's got a SAMD21G18 regulator, crystal, a couple of it looks like a 402 LEDs. There's no reset button. Instead, there's like these 2 pads that you jumper together with a piece of wire. It's got castellated pads, which I thought was interesting. I've never done castellated pads. And it's a little bit kind of like the same size as the trinket. It's like a little bit wider. It's a 0.1 inch wider, and it's like 0.2 inch or so shorter, but it doesn't have mounting holes. So that's the trade-off. And also it has a USB-C instead of a micro B. And there's this like cute little adapter board that like connects it to Grove. And we have Grove to Stemma QT cables as well, by the way. One day we should do just cables, all about cables. So I saw this and I was like, I really like this design. I think it's cute. And I would like to make a board that's the same size and shape so I can take advantage of this nice adapter board. So I actually had a design that I had been working on and kind of put aside, which is a trinket with a Stemma QT cable connector on the end, because I thought that would be really useful. So I designed that like a year or two ago, and then I kind of never finished it because it didn't really fit. And I was like, well, I'll just deal with it later because it was trinket compatible. But this gave me the inspiration to make this new design. So let's go to the computer. Okay, so this is the new design that I've done, and it's the same size and shape as the shell board. It's got a USB-C. It's got the same, almost exactly the same pinout. I'm using a SAMD21E18 instead of a G18, which just means it's a smaller package and has fewer pins. So you still get analog pins on all of these. There's DAC out, analog ins, I2C, RX and TX. Here, I'll hide the bottom because it's a little less visible. Oops. Hold on. Okay. So you got the analog output, A0, 3 analog inputs, I2C, RX and TX. So it's a UART and a SPI port plus 5-volt ground and 3 volts. And then these are also analog inputs. But what I did that was different is I put my familiar favorites on. So I put a reset button. I really like reset buttons. I think they're really handy to get into and out of a bootloader, or your board's acting funky, you press reset. So I like having a reset button. For me, that's kind of like a need. It's not a desire, it's a need. So I put that on there. And then over here, I've got the 4-pin Stemma QT connector. Just gives you 3-volt ground and then the I2C connection. So that means, again, you can just plug and play, OLEDs and IMUs and air quality sensors and barometric pressure sensors and all the stuff that we have that is Stemma QT. And then, of course, you can also plug in Grove sensors with an adapter cable. You can plug in all the SparkFun quick boards. Basically, everything that's 4-pin I2C will just work. And, I've noticed that people pretty much do everything over I2C now. They're very happy with, I'll just have the display be an I2C OLED. All my sensors are I2C. Good. Especially with the reduction in cost of many sensors. You don't need a DHT22 anymore. You can get an AHT20, which is I2C, works with everything, and doesn't have annoying bit banging. And then over here, I have an adorable little NeoPixel. So we actually put 2x2 millimeter NeoPixels in the shop in little bags for people to pick up. This is a 1.5 by 1.5 millimeter NeoPixel. I really like NeoPixels. Oh, you got a question?
No, just John says I'm with you with the reset button. There is a certain group of us, and I think it's a lot of Adafruit community members that are like, yeah, if you can fit one on there, please do it. It just
I like
helps.
them.
Yeah.
And I like the NeoPixel too, because between a NeoPixel and a reset button, you can actually provide a lot of feedback to the user. So when we have our bootloader, for example, one of the things I really like about the UF2 bootloader is you enter it by double-clicking the reset button. So that's kind of nice, because you click once, just restart your board, double-click to enter into the bootloader. And then the onboard NeoPixel turns green when the bootloader enumerates properly and red when it doesn't. And that's really handy because people don't realize they have power-only USB cables. And so they plug it in and they're like, I'm trying to use the board and it's not running. And I tell them, well, double-click the reset button. Is the LED red or green? And they say red. And I say, you don't have your USB cable's bad. Get a new cable. And they're like, oh yeah, that solved the problem. There's this curse of cables. And then there's just a couple of 042 resistors here, 0805 caps, and that's kind of it. You don't actually need a lot to get these SAMD21s running. So the only thing that got dropped in this compared to a Trinket is it doesn't have a power LED. Instead, I'm just going to use the NeoPixel, which is fine. The bootloader will turn on. It'll be a dim green or something. And there's no mounting holes. But I did try to make castellated pads. I don't know if this is going to work out. So I made one round pad and one oval pad. And you see the oval pad gets cut in half. Is this going to come out? I don't know. I sent it to BoardFab and we'll see. And then this is the rendering.
What's the accuracy like without a crystal?
It's fine. It's when you plug it into USB, it synchronizes over the USB. So then it's perfect. And without, it's within 1%. It's very well calibrated. So I'm not seen anyone need a crystal.
Okay, we'll spin the board around and let's
yeah, we're gonna keep moving.
Keep going.
Okay, so that's this board.
Cool.
USB-C, Stemma QT. I think I'm gonna call it the Cutie Pie.
Yeah, that's the name of it right now.
That's the name of it right now, but if people have other name ideas,
Cutie Pie is what we're gonna do.
Because it's got a Stemma QT and it runs CircuitPython.
Yep.
And this is Zoffs, because somebody's gonna say what's this 3D thing? It's called Zoffs. Okay. So let's close this.
What's next?
And then the next one is another design. This one I worked on over the weekend. So this is we've been making a lot of progress. Scott's been making a lot of progress on the ESP32S2 support for CircuitPython. I think it feels like it's about time to make a board. So this is a Metro, and it's got USB-C. It's got the ESP32S2 rollover, so it's Wi-Fi, native USB. DC power, an on-off switch, and I put a LiPo battery socket here with a LiPo charger. I thought for this kind of board, I feel like people will want to use it wirelessly and on battery power. So I usually don't have battery charging on a Metro, but I added it here. I'm also going to add a Stemma QT connector. I kind of forgot, but I'll add it maybe over here or something. But this is the only place I could put this module. It's kind of big. And you might be like, well, what's so close to the power and like USB-C is going to be okay. It's okay. Like I've done similar designs and had pretty good range. One of the things I do with the power that I have when I have LiPo is I use this cute little circuit which automatically switches to powering the 3-volt regulator from the USB 5-volt or DC 5-volt instead of the battery. So the battery only gets used when there's no other power available, and that like keeps the life of your battery really high. Some very old designs that I did, I would always power off the battery and I'd use like the battery charger to keep it topped up. That's actually not as good for LiPo batteries. So one of the tricks I have here is, there's this diode, and it basically this only turns on when this is low. It gets pulled low. And this, I use the MBR 540. It's kind of my stock Schottky diode. And I actually had to buy a bunch because we were almost out. We use this in a ton of boards, including all our feathers. And when I went to purchase it this week, I found it was out of stock. And that's when I said, ooh, I should cover this on the Great Search. How to find parts when the part's out of stock.
Okay. And
so that leads right in.
Welcome to the Great Search with Digi-Key and LADYADA. This is when LADYADA goes to Digi-Key.com and shows you all the things that she's really good at, including being able to search and find and help people maximize their potential on a search.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So I'm using this MBR 540, which I've spec'd in my design. A lovely little Schottky diode. It's a 40-volt diode. I use this for a lot of basic Schottky needs. Why is it so high? Because I use it in some boost converters as well, and some of the boost converters go pretty high. So I use up to 40 volts. But when I went to Digi-Key, it was out of stock, which is like I've never seen before. But for whatever reason, this is out of stock. What to do when your part is out of stock? This is a good thing to know. Well, first off, if there is a lead time estimation, you can click on the check lead time. And in this case, this is past due. And that happens. Like we order stuff, sometimes it doesn't ship when it's expected to. But this gives you an idea. I have ordered parts and, or wanted to order parts, I check the lead time and it says like it's 6 months out. That makes me really think about, well, do I want to find like a totally alternative part? Or like, do I have to design something else for my PCB? Because if it's 3 to 6 months, it might be easier for me to just redo the design. In this case, it looks like they were expecting to get it, and they didn't. There's lockdowns in various countries, shipping is delayed, could be a lot of reasons why this part is unavailable. I will say sometimes parts are unavailable for back order. In this case, I could back order it, and it will ship whenever. In the particular case of this week, I really needed the part the next day. In that case, there's a new thing on Digi-Key, and I think this is like new as of like this month or this week. I've never seen it before. And they actually give you substitution suggestions. And what's interesting is that they have direct and maybe similar substitutions. So in this case, this part, the MBR 054, they're like, look, this is a generic diode. Just like the 1N4001 that you might be familiar with, or the 1N4148. This diode is also just a generic numbered diode, and it's available from multiple suppliers. This is from Micro Commercial, MCC, but you can also get it from onsemi, in which case you'll want to verify just, the package. Trust but verify. Yes, this is almost certainly a direct substitute, but you still want to make sure that you've got all the specifications correct. In this case, there's like 500,000 in stock, so this is great. You can check the specifications down here. These are like the quick specs, and then of course the data sheet if you're looking for something in more detail. I'll also tell you what to do if there isn't the direct substitution. Sometimes you're lucky. In this case, I was like, that's really cool because I just picked up the substitute and I was good to go. Let's say there isn't a substitute. Keep scrolling down and you'll see the product attributes section. In this case, you can see the attributes that you would select under search. And what you can do is you can click these to view similar. So for example, Okay, let's say that new magical section didn't exist. I'd say, okay, well, I want a diode. I don't need it from MCC. I do need it to be tape and reel. I need it to be active. I need it to be a Schottky diode. I want 40 volts voltage reverse protection. I want 500 milliamps current average rectified. The voltage forward may vary a little bit, so I'm not going to check that. I'm going to say, yes, I want a fast recovery type. The reverse leakage also may vary a little bit. The capacitance may vary a little bit. So I want surface mount and SOD 123, that's the physical package, and the operating temperature. And then when I click View Similar, it will pop up. In this case, only 6 results were similar. And you'll see how the voltage, one is like 550 and one is 510. You don't want to select all necessarily. You want to select the ones that are important to you. And then you can use the search drill down to verify which of the other more variable attributes are important to you. And in this case, looks like basically it came up with almost the same things. It's basically got the on semiconductor MBR 054s. You can click in stock to get just the ones in stock, and then pick up this diode, which will do the job for you. So this happens a lot as an engineer. I always tell people, have multiple sources for each component, because you never know. We've had parts that we've purchased, and then we find out like, oh, hey, that factory, in the Philippines caught on fire because there's an earthquake. You're not going to get that part for 4 months. That happens, and when they get back into business, I'm happy to purchase from them. In the meantime, you might want to have an alternative source. So using the suggested alternatives from Digi-Key is a great way to make sure that your product isn't held back because something is out of stock. Especially like a 4-cent diode. Such a shame to hold back a $50 product because of 4 cents.
All right, and I took a screenshot when you were showing me this. I'm like, this is really cool. We should talk about this.
That's right.
And substitutes. Powerful. Trust but verify. Keep going. Don't let production halt. This
That's
has
right.
been another great search.
Thanks,
brought to you
everybody.
By Digi-Key and LADYADA. All right. That's
Okay.
pretty cool. One thing.
Okay, cool.
Tim in the chat said, love it. Would love to see more castellated pad boards. Currently designing a board to give an optional shell footprint, so this is good timing. Yeah.
I think it's a very cute little. It's smaller than like the Pro Mini, which I like. It's a little bit different than the Trinket, but it's like I think that there is definitely space for two. People really, really like the Trinket, and I've always wanted to have a Trinket with a Stemma QT on the end. Ever since we got to 25 Stemma QT boards, I was like, I want a board that has USB-C and a Stemma QT on the end and a SAMD21 in the middle.
Yeah.
So this is a mitzvah.
And then real quick, so since we hit 50 stemmas, we're having Gnome Pedro work up some stuff. This is a Lego platform, so you can connect them all together. And JP will be doing a new show each week, JP's product picks, and he'll be focusing on Stemma since we just hit Stemma 50.
That's right. So yeah, we're gonna have all sorts of good stuff, and then here's a sneak peek. Don't tell anybody, but we're gonna start to do freebie Stemma boards. When you purchase from Adafruit, we'll toss in a free Stemma, and we'll have a big range, so you'll get a different one each time.
Okay.
Coming soon.
And that is Desk of LADYADA.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Great chatting.